has had an impact. 58% of people prevented from getting diabetes, whereas even with an intervention like a drug called metformin and lifestyle, the effect was not as good. So lifestyle seems to be the most important thing. Next. So good news, since type 2 diabetes and gestational diabetes are largely lifestyle disorder, the onset can be delayed or prevented to a large degree by lifestyle measures. We'll touch upon how we go through these things: diet, physical activity, exercise, and stress measures relief. Next. And I'll just touch upon a few things. Lose weight. I'm just going to go through the healthy, balanced diet. I mean, in our department, every time there is something innovative they come upon. So diet does not necessarily mean you'll have to starve, or you have to have the same type of food. There are many ways in which you can have healthy food prepared in different ways. So there is the book here. There are people who are trying to constantly work on how you can have the diet which is palatable, especially for children. And smoking is something you need to get rid of. 30 minutes of walk at least for 5 days a week, and looking after your feet, because there are problems which can come if you don't look after that. Next. Exercise, what are all the benefits? We'll see that. Types of exercise. Well, there are two types. When you have active training, another one is called resistance exercise. That will come upon because you'll see that a lot of people say, I do not have the time, I do not have the place or the resources to go do active aerobic exercises. We'll see that there are other modes which you can do both at work. You say healthy living, people with diabetes at workplace. We'll see that also. Reducing cholesterol, blood pressure, effects of cardiovascular benefits, stress, muscle tone, improved strength, flexibility, circulation, and weight loss. So those are the benefits. Next. Right, these are the calories you burn by doing certain things mentioned here. There's a website where you can see what amount of calories you burn by doing certain activities. Next. So ample research suggests this increasing rates of overweight, obesity are largely a result of declining diet quality and inadequate physical activity. Therefore, we need to help people address those two areas, not from a public and not only from a public health perspective. Most people spend a large part of their lives at work. So you see from the next slides that you have to have a priority in the workplace as well as home to exercise. Next. So there are many ways where you can spend actively, but despite your busy schedule, we can do certain things like stretches, you can see pictures follow that. Next slide. Shoulder shrugs, neck stretch, hamstring stretch, and I'm sure we have an exponent here who's a pioneer in yoga. I'm sure I cannot emphasize how important that is in getting your health, especially in people with diabetes. But these are additional things which you can also do at work. So people say, I don't have the time at some part of the day. You could do so many things even at work. Next. Chest press, tricep kickbacks, front raise of shoulders, and you can see some pictures coming in the next slides. Next. Maintain a healthy weight. Next. I think we do have. For example, all you need is a water bottle filled, maybe weighing in a kilo or so in your hand. Lower back stretch. Next one. Lower body exercises, hip flexion, extension, inner thigh. Next. So these are the ones. Right? Okay. And holistic therapies. We talked about exercise, we talked about diet, holistic therapies. I'm sure you heard a lot from Professor Hegde as well. So yoga, we talked about yoga, many asanas which do help physically as well as the breathing. Breathing becomes an important part in controlling one's daily activities, and once your breathing is organized, I think you have enough energy to do the exercises which are required, maybe even more than what you really require. Next. Okay. Next. Yogic techniques have the potential to cure various stress-related disease symptoms, and as it also lowers body fat, improves blood circulation, and stimulates the immune system. Next. How to travel, and we all do travel now. There are a few clues what to do when you travel as a diabetic, how to take care, live healthy, just run through them. Yeah, overseas travel, seeing a doctor. Next. Before you leave, 4 to 6 weeks. Next. Pre-planning about the meals, travel durations, asking your doctor, and ordering the meals in advance, getting your insulin prepared, the right type of insulin. Next. Prescription from your doctor, we talked about. Next. And an alert form saying that you're a diabetic, going to a place, knowing a few words like diabetes, sugar and problems, low sugars in areas like, so that will help you when you're traveling. Next. Packing carefully all these. Next. Insulin. Yeah. Snacks available which are ready to eat. Right. Airport, traveling in advance, notifying the people, right? Right. These are some of the measures we do. Glucose monitors, eating in flight, making sure you have the right things the right time. At the destination, making sure protecting your feet, not get dehydrated. So with little thoughtful, timely planning, we can prevent problems. So in a world when so much is talked about diabetes, I need to talk a little about type 1 diabetes. We talked mainly about type 2 diabetes. Children here are a living example of how, when you have state-of-the-art system and experts like Dr. CVK was contributed almost his working life in looking after children, guiding them and setting protocols and others. Having any type of diabetes, you are able to live healthy, provided you have the motivation from the family, you have an awareness from the society, especially school, workplace, and a good set of doctors who are dedicated healthcare providers. And I'm sure we'll be able to have prevent diabetes at large. And in case you have diabetes, we can live a healthy life and prevent complications in future. I thank Dr. CVK. I thank everybody here present here for your kind attention. Thank you. There you can see some of our last slides. You can see some of the children growing up, and I don't see any much difference between these children and the children who do not have diabetes, and they are able to perform almost anything and everything what a normal child can do, and I'm sure they'll all grow up into healthy, successful adults. And thank you for patiently listening.
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh, for the illuminating talk. I now call upon Dr. C.V. Krishnaswamy to give us a brief genesis of TAG VHS and the milestones achieved in research in these 3 years since inception. Over to Dr. C.V. Krishnaswamy.
At about this time, a little later, yesterday, when Dr. Suresh had asked me to felicitate the setting up of the new pediatric unit with about a band of dedicated young pediatricians whom he had roped in to serve the society, giving a comprehensive health care at a very low cost for children. It is a laudable effort. And I told him, I feel like a marathon runner nearing his tape when a new marathon runner is starting. So I have spent 50 years in practice. 65 he returned, I think, from training abroad, and 67 I joined this place. The title of Suresh's talk yesterday was very captivating. It's almost telepathic. He said, I have a dream and I want to chase this dream. And today, this was not planned from yesterday. This was done long ago because we had to have this meeting yesterday. I presented this, I have a dream, And Professor Hegde was very much there, Dr. Swaminathan was very much there, and I presented this dream 4 years ago, 2010, in this very same hall. And this dream started in 1967. Next slide, please. Before I go to that 1967 event, I want to tell you that having spent a long time in trying to understand the type 1 or insulin dependent juvenile diabetes and try to find something, an event happened which really opened my eyes. And this was when I set up in 1967 at the invitation of or the request or order of Dr. Sanjeevi, a small veranda OP. A young man from Ramanathapuram came. He was about 10 years old and he had high diabetes, 500. And he said for getting insulin he has to go for a long way. And there was no place to get insulin. So how will he live? So somebody told him, you go to Madras. In Madras he came to a relative's house who were near VHS, not that VHS at that time was anything to do with diabetes. And he came to me here in the veranda of our outpatient department. And I asked him, how are you going to have insulin? He said, I don't know. And insulin was 30 rupees, Boots, what the Westerners call dirty insulin. And I came home and told my wife, look, I can't get to give this boy insulin. He has to go back in 2 days. I'll investigate him, find his blood sugar high. I have to give him insulin, no other way. And she said, I was at that time learning and she was earning. Because I was an honorary in Stanley Hospital, and Sanjeevi said you have to come twice a week here and no, nothing will be paid, you have to pay for your own petrol. And we said yes out of deference to the master. And she gave me an amount which was adequate to serve this boy and more, 10 boys, from her earning. So we started this giving insulin first, then teaching them how to take self-injections, then teaching them, and that time there was no glucometer and all that. So syringes, how to boil the syringe, these things we did in the beginning. And we set up a department which grew. And years later, in 1994, if I remember right, this man called Gale, E.A.M. Gale, Edwin Gale, who had done very good work, excellent work in Oxford, and then was a consultant in London Hospital, did a lot of genetic work. I thought that will give the clue for research to find out how to cure juvenile diabetes. So I invited him for one, thanks to a donor, like the donors who are here. He gave a large donation in those days, once in 2 years. We invited him, paid for him, he spoke everything. And years later, he went back. He did a lot of work on juvenile diabetes. He called a program as ENDIT through Europe, and the program was a miserable failure. So all these great research is done by these people. So I decided I shouldn't trust the Western research. This was the beginning, sir. The Lancet carried this article that in parts of India which has more people with diabetes than any other country in the world. This is all untrue, because my writings before that says in India, juvenile diabetes is 20 to 30 times less than in the Western country, where every year it is doubling. That was the figure. So he said girls are missing from the diabetes clinics and they die. So single important cause for death in children, particularly girl children in India, is juvenile diabetes, lack of insulin. This was his statement in the Lancet, and that I had to contest, so I wrote a letter, strong letter. So he was kind enough to reply and recall. I said, you have come here, you have seen our girls, do you think they just die off like that? Then he wrote, next. He said, I wrote the first paragraph, I won't read that. Next. I read CVK's article with respect, etc. Finally, I would like to put on record very sincere respect and admiration for the work done for children with diabetes at the Voluntary Health Services Hospital in Chennai. I had the privilege of visiting the department in 1994, was enormously impressed by the dedication, profession. No, I don't want that. I'll tell you, this is only the beginning. with comprehensive free Medicare services are offered for children with diabetes with philanthropic support by the various groups who were supporting me from that time onwards for 45 years. I want to be grateful for that today. That is the beginning. So he wrote that in the Lancet, and I really thank the philanthropists, donors today, not for anything else. I am putting it, and it came in the Lancet, and several people wrote to me and said we didn't know. So in India, nobody mentions this outside Chennai, outside villages. So that is the type of media shut off that we get. That is the type of media exposure. I wish the media will at least support what we do by way of research. That is my first request. Next, please. So it started. I'll go quickly now. The old VHS hospital, where we had nothing, as I said, and we started this clinic next. Then in 1985, Dr. Sanjeevi opened our juvenile diabetes research thing. Dr. Chitra Narayan Swami was the thing, and was the head, and Hande opened it. Next, various departments you have got. The family of Dore Rajan, I hope Parthasarthi is here. And with 84 we built a small 1,000 square feet center called the TGK Raman, thanks to L.L. Narayanan, Rani Madras, who was a patient and a friend, family friend, and Dr. Murali, you can see that. We started the work in this department in 84. Next, please. And then my friend Chari, who is fortunately here, I request him to stay on for a few more minutes. And he, his brother Gopalan, and his father, you can see there, late Ramabhadran. In his name, we thought we will replicate what Edwin Gale and others were doing by doing HLA typing and esoteric, all sorts of genetic research. We joined the Forensic Sciences Lab and did that. And it was a happy occasion because both M.S. Subbalakshmi, late M.S. Subbalakshmi, Bharat Ratna, and M.L. Vasant Kumar jointly sang Koreyundrum Illai for us. And this was a very, very unique occasion. We remember that. And he donated to start the genetic lab at that time. All our genetic work took us nowhere. All this sort of research took us nowhere. Next slide. Because if you just go back in our own ancient wisdom, we found that the focus on diabetes today is commercial. It's definitely not the health of individuals. Ramesh mentioned the very, very nicely various aspects where which you need not